Oh, all right. Jai Baba, everyone. Welcome to this celebration of Rano Gayley and her life with her beloved Meher Baba. We have a little video to show you just as kind of a warm-up of some photos of Rano and some of her work. And then we'll have Karen Talbot, who's got some information, her bio, which I think will be really interesting, and also some discussion about her artwork, which I'm excited about as well. So we'll just see how things progress, but we'll start with the video and Karen after that. So with that, I'll say Jai Baba to everyone and welcome. And here.
Heartache lays the lover's passion bare. No sickness with heartache can compare. Love's melody's the sign of mysteries divine, whether of heavenly mold, earthly cast. Love still leads us at last. Drain your desires, the cup fill with grace, though there's no going back. Look only to the beloved's face. Wanting always something more brings slavery alone. Seeking heaven outside your door will turn your heart to stone, your heart to stone. Drain your desires, the cup fill with grace, though there's no going back. Look only to the beloved's face. How to portray love's true station. Love is love's only explanation. Does not the sun himself, the sun declare, behold here, all proof you seek is there. Seek him there. Drain your desires, the cup fill with grace, though there's no going back. Look only to the beloved's face. To his face. Oh, when will I see Son declare, behold, Him, all proof you seek is there. Seek Him there, drain your desires, the cup fill with grace, though there's no going back. Look only to the beloved's face. To His face. Oh, when will I see your face again, again,
I'm sorry, I could have mentioned there as well, Jane Mossman was singing in the background with Buzz on that song, so I should have given her credit. But I'll give her verbal credit right now and ask Karen if she's ready.
I'd like to share a little bit about Rano Gayley, and just so you know, the information comes primarily from her book, Because of Love, My Life and Art with Meher Baba. It was written by Anne Conlon, and a lot of the transcription, a lot of the work was done by Jim May. I don't know if any or many of you know of Jim, but I will talk about him as the story goes on, particularly with her 10 circles chart. And Jim had hoped to be with us this morning, but his wife had a medical emergency and is unable to be with us. But Jim transcribed a number of the tapes that Rano made for the publication of the book, Because of Love. Rano was born on July 6, 1902. She passed on December 5th, 1986 at Meherazad. She is buried at Upper Meherazad, where the women are. Her father was Henry Gayley, Upper Meherazad. Her father was Henry Gayley, her mother, Estella Gayley, later named Nani, and she had one brother, Clifford, and was an American. In the dedication to her book, Because of Love, My Life and Art with Meher Baba, she wrote, to Avatar Meher Baba, the eternal beloved, whose love fragrance permeates our hearts. In spring of 1933, in Paris, Rano was walking with her mother, with an old friend, Ruano Bogoslav, when they heard someone calling, Frida, Frida. Frida was Ruano's pre-stage name, as she was an actress. The person who was reaching and calling out to them was Quentin Todd. He'd been looking for Ruano to tell her about a man named Meher Baba when he had just returned from visiting India. And he was there with a group of other English people. That night, Quentin came to their apartment and showed them pictures of Baba and spoke glowingly of him. Nani was instantly excited. She had seen Baba's photos several years earlier in an American newspaper and thought, someday I am going to meet that man. Ruano let them know that Baba would be back in Europe. They sailed to London, and at 4 p.m. on October 18th, 1933, they met Baba at Hygeia House in London. Rano said, I walked into Baba's room and I just stood there. To this day, I do not know who else was in the room. There were only figures, but Baba clearly was in the room. Baba had the most beautiful expression I have ever seen. Sweetness, love, everything that was beautiful was there in his face. I stood staring at him until someone finally removed me from the room. That night, Rano stayed awake all night with Baba's face before her mind's eye. The next morning, they were to see Baba again. They stayed on for several days and were able to join some of the English disciples on several outings. In spring of 1934, Baba cabled that he was coming to Europe in June, and only one of the three should meet him. So they chose Ruano because Ruano knew most French ways, and they thought that would be best. But Rano, she wanted to go too, and she had some money in her pocket. So what she decided was she went and bought a ticket and said she was just going to accompany Ruano. And when she arrived, even though it wasn't Baba's order, Baba was happy to see her, and so she was pleased. They had a day with Baba in Marseille, and then they went by train to Paris with Baba, Chanji, Kaka, and Adi Jr. On the train at night, Ruano and Rano became hungry. They snuck into Baba's compartment to get a snack. They woke up Baba, who told them to take the food but not come back. They ate and were about to lay down when Kaka, carrying 2 black velvet pillows, brought them to them. Baba had sent one to each one with the message: they should sleep well, keep the pillows, never let anyone else use them, and never part with them. After a few days in Switzerland, in England, they went on to spend 10 days in Switzerland with Baba. Rano didn't sleep for 10 nights. One day, while walking up the hills, Baba strode ahead, seeming to float effortlessly up the hill, with others struggling to keep up. She suddenly felt she wanted to keep up. As she came up behind Baba, he took her hand, and then they went hand in hand up the hill. She felt she was just floating. On December 5th, they joined Baba again in Cherbourg on his voyage to America. She was thinking about why certain things in her life hadn't happened. Baba said, no, it had to be because you had to come to me. In late summer of 1936, he invited 15 of his devotees to join him by coming to live in a Western ashram in Nasik. The Americans went to England to see Baba there. They arrived in Baba in early December 1936. They were met by Rustam Arani and members of the Dada Chanji family. Baba called it the luxury ashram, but he told them that this would be it. I'm going to take all these things away from you. During the first 6 months of 1937, Baba split his time between Nasik, Rahuri, and Meherabad. At Nasik, Rano realized that Baba was more than just flesh and blood. One night she was awakened by a blinding light, and in the light she saw Baba's face. She kept it to herself, but Baba brought it out of her. But it was something she would never forget. While at Nasik, Baba took them to their first visit to Meherabad. Back at Nasik, Baba asked them one by one how they liked Meherabad. Rano replied, oh, Baba, it is very nice here, but not for me. Baba listened and said nothing. Although Baba called them to Nasik for 5 years, the Nasik ashram ended 6 months later, June 1937. On July 31st, they boarded a ship from Bombay to Marseille. This was the first time that Mera joined Baba on his way to France. Rano's job was to sit in the passage and guard Mera's door. Toward the end of October that year, 1937, Rano would return to India. Norina and Kitty were going with him, but then Baba invited Rano. They sailed to India on November 37. Rano didn't realize that aside from 2 brief visits to the West, one in 1952 and then again in 1970, she would be spending the rest of her life in India. And all of the luxuries of Nasik were now gone. In the fall of 1938, Baba decided to go on the Blue Bus tours and take all the women with him. There were 22 in all, but the Blue Bus only had room for 14. And Rano felt the Blue Bus tours coincided closely with World War II. The most important aspect of the Blue Bus tours for Baba was his must work. At one time, Rano was to keep kettles of water ready in case Chacha, the must, would appear. But Chacha didn't come, and every day the women wanted hot water for their baths. But she said, no, I'm holding this hot water in case Chacha comes. One day she thought he's never going to come, so she gave Helen Dom a pail of hot water for her bath. As soon as she handed it to Helen, Chacha appeared. So she quickly grabbed the pail and gave it to Baba for Chacha. And then afterwards, she heated up another kettle for Helen Dom. She was very close with her mother, Nani, who passed on October 14th, 1939. Of Nani, Baba said she came to him and he gave her mukti, bliss. The Blue Bus tours ended in 1942, but Baba continued traveling and contacting Mus until the new life began on October 16, 1949. In 1946, Baba decided to close the ashram. Kitty and Margaret and Rano were supposed to return home, but Baba called them to North India and they continued on trips with him. On one of these trips, she developed hepatitis. At a wayside station with Dr. Duncan, she drank sugarcane juice, and Dr. Duncan felt that was how she contacted the hepatitis. She couldn't eat a thing. Baba gave her a large plate of food and insisted she eat it. It was his order. She got it down, and then it turned out her episode of hepatitis was very brief. And Dr. Duncan, of course, attributed that to Baba. In mid-1949, Baba told them he would be entering the new life. He gave Kitty and Rano a choice. They could go back to their respective countries or stay in India. At least they could be close to Baba in India. They chose India. Baba's orders, they were not to touch any men and they should not buy anything on their own. They were to stay with Meherji, Homai, and their family, and if they needed anything, they were to ask Homai, Meherji's wife. They could not accept food from anyone except for liquid refreshments. They were either to help Homai in the home if she needed it or to find jobs. Homai said she didn't need any help. They had a very hard time finding jobs. But Homai suggested to Kitty, who had been a piano teacher, to meet the principal of Queen Mary's High School, where her daughter was a student, to see if there was a job opening. The school's headmistress was an English woman named Miss Groom. Miss Groom offered Kitty a job to teach English because they already had a music teacher at the school. Rano was very hesitant because she didn't see herself as a teacher, but she agreed to go and she brought her portfolio to show to Miss Groom. Miss Groom hired her immediately. They had been at the school for some months when they received a letter from Baba from Mani saying Baba was calling them to Satara on the condition that they could keep their jobs. So they went to see Miss Groom because they hadn't been there very long, and it also didn't say how long they would be gone for. Miss Groom amazingly agreed immediately to their conditions. Miss Groom told them the whole atmosphere of the school had changed when they joined the staff. In the autumn, Baba called them again. Again, Miss Groom let them leave. For summer vacation, they stayed with Baba in Mahabaleshwar. There he told them they could stay with him, find jobs, or go back to their jobs. Again, they chose Baba. They returned for 2 months to give Miss Groom time to find replacements. When the classes heard they were leaving, there was weeping and wailing. Oh, what are we going to do without Miss Davy? What are we going to do without Miss Gayley? Rano wanted to tell Miss Groom about Meher Baba, and she really didn't know how to do that. She met Miss Groom's sister and brought Meher Baba into the conversation. So when Miss Groom asked her about it, Rano said he had all the Christ qualities. The new life was soon over, and Rano was chosen as one of the women to accompany Baba to the West when he went in 1952. They arrived at Idlewild Airport on Easter Sunday, April 1952. Rano was only at the center for a very short time because Baba gave her permission to visit her family. When she returned to the center, she helped with the ongoing darshan. When the darshan at the center was complete, she set out on May 21st in one of the 2 cars to cross the America. Rana was in Sarosha's car with Kitty, Dr. Gohair, and Delia. When they approached Prague, they saw that there had been an accident ahead. They were shocked when they saw it was Elizabeth's car. Rano rushed out of the car so quickly that she got out before Sarosh even turned off the engine. Dr. Gohair and Rano accompanied Baba and Elizabeth in the ambulance to the hospital run by Dr. Burleson. Rano stayed with Baba until Mera had been attended to. They were divided by Baba into keeping watch. At the end of 10 days, Baba sent Rano and Dr. Duncan to prepare for their return to recuperate at Yopan Dunes in Myrtle Beach. They stayed there, but by midsummer, they moved to a house in Scarsdale for final recuperation. Baba wanted the 6 returning to India to have seats to each other. It was very difficult for Rano to find an airline that would have 6 seats next to each other on short notice, and this was in England. Dr. Duncan said, go to Air France. She went to Air France, and Air France was finally able to give the 6 seats for the flight. In 1959, Nadja and Rano were staying at Bindra House with Erich's family. Rano was taken very, very seriously ill after eating a mango. Baba came to see her later and said, you know, last night was a toss-up between you and Papa Jesuwala. She didn't know that Papa Jesuwala had died that night. Nadja was afraid to upset Rano, and no one had told her. During the 1960s, Rano joined the women mandali at Guru Prasad during the summers when Baba would be there. A week or so before Baba dropped his body, she took a watercolor of the mastery and servitude emblem she had done for Baba and to give to Baba's brother Adi Jr. in England. She thought Adi would be happy if Baba touched the emblem. Baba pointed out each religious symbol and made a circle of his thumb and forefinger, his sign of pleasure. Then he gestured, "Come and embrace me." He looked so fragile then that Rana was almost afraid to touch him. So she touched him very lightly. But then she says, "But when he embraced me, it was the strong embrace of the old days." It was the last embrace she had from Baba. Rano continued with her artwork. The headshots that you saw in Ruthie's slideshow were worked on in 1971 and 1972. Rano became a trustee of the Avatar Meher Baba Trust, and she worked during the following years in the trust office with Mani and Erich. She met pilgrims at Meherazad, and she lovingly shared her stories with each of us. We were all so fortunate to know Rano Gayley. Jai Baba. I have more to say about her artwork, but perhaps we can just have some stories. And then I would like to read what, I have something I can read when I find it. I think I have it, that John Foreman sent.
Oh, nice.
John sent me a number, he's not unable to join us, but he sent me a number of items, some of the things about the 10 circles chart. And John and his wife, Franny, lived in India for 11 years and did healthcare there. And he writes, and I'm going to read what he wrote. "It was through Rano, Baba taught me how to act and be relaxed with his mandali in India when I first lived there among them. It was magical because I never discussed it with her. One day she lost her temper and got very angry at me and corrected me." And he writes in parentheses, "rightly so. Strangely, I felt close and comfortable with her from that moment onwards. It helped me feel like I belonged there. It made me feel like it was okay just to be myself, to be natural, and to be relaxed. Perhaps more than anyone else, Rano made me feel like I was truly a family member with all of them. Without that experience, I could not have lived there for the next 11 years. I could not have carried on and worked there." Said Baba.
Wow. Jai Baba. That was beautiful. Karen, as always, thank you. The bio was wonderful, and I'm grateful that you got that reading from John. That note, that was great. Well, it's open. I just wanted to mention to everyone that we ask that you raise your hand digitally because it's hard to always see people on the screen if you put your hand up just straight up. So we do that by hitting Alt-Y on a PC, Option Y on a Mac, *9 on a phone, and it's in the chat so that you can read that if you need to see that. So if there's anybody that would like to share a little bit about Ranu. I know that when I met her, I felt very, I felt nervous around her because she was so cool. I mean, I thought she was the coolest thing. And there was just something about her demeanor that I really, it just was very attractive. She was tall and thin, and she was regal in her way. And so I did get a photo. I did walk up and ask her for a photograph with her, which she was very happy to do. So I do have that memory of her. But she just was the most, she was so cool. I just wanted to be her, you know. I wanted to be able to paint like she painted for Baba. So, all right. Is there anybody that has memories of Rana or stories? Yasmin, are you there? Did you want to share a little bit?
I no.
Okay. All right. Meher Prasad, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I thought I'll read a small section from Lord Meher, which I'm sure all of you know about this story, but it always touched me. So this is from page 1937 in the online edition. Baba assigned duties to Kitty in the kitchen, to Rano in preparing charts and working on the 10 circles painting, and to Norina in writing. Kitty was also to teach English to Naja and Khorshid. Rano was in the habit of getting up late, as she would often go to bed late. But in Meherabad, the others were awake by 5 a.m., and tea was served at 5:30 a.m. One day, soon after arriving, Baba asked Naja to call Rano to the kitchen. Rano was sleeping at the time, and Naja woke her up. Rano rubbed the sleep out of her eyes, put on a robe, and accompanied Naja to the kitchen. A kettle of water was boiling on the stove, and pointing to it, Baba gestured to her. Listen to how sweetly the kettle is singing. Rana stood quietly but thought, what is this? I've been called to listen to a kettle boil? Seeing her expression, Baba spelled out, it is not the fact of the kettle's singing that is of importance, but that I thought of you, that I thought to call you. And the other one I remember is this is not from, I don't know if this is in Lord Meher, but Rana mentioned that there was a time when Baba would come in and say, greet everyone with good morning or something, and he would greet everybody except her. And he did this day after day, and she started to notice that he was ignoring her. And initially, she felt really bad about that. But one day, she thought that it takes greater effort for him to actually ignore her. And from that point on, it didn't bother her that, Baba ignored her. That's all. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Meher, that was great. Can't you just see it? Jai Baba. Diana. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
I didn't have any personal connection with Rano, but I remember I have this memory of an young American woman who is an artist bringing her drawings of Baba to Rano, and they were sitting on a bench, and I happened to be on the bench at the same time, and Rano was so carefully critiquing her artwork. And I remember in particular critiquing the eyebrows. You just had to get Baba's eyebrows right. It's such a sweet detail. And I can only imagine that she may have given advice to other artists who were drawing Baba, because I don't know that for a fact, but I can imagine that it may have happened. That here's her wonderful talent and accomplishment herself, Rano's, and sharing it with others who want to draw Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Oh, that's wonderful, Diana. I was looking at those beautiful sketches, those pencils, charcoal sketches, and the eyebrows, Baba's eyebrows in every single one are magnificent. And I think his eyebrows were and are magnificent. So it's funny that she brought that to the woman, because that's exactly what I saw. Just amazing. Thanks, Diana. Well, I'm just looking, is there anyone else that is able to share or would like to share? memories of some of Rano's time. Judy Robertson, I don't know, are you interested in sharing a little bit? Are you there?
I'm here. And wondering if I should share or not.
You don't have to, dear girl. You can wait if you like.
Well, let's see what comes out. My really sweet memory of Rano is that back in '86, Rano was quite ill, and she, this is about a month and a half or 2 months before she passed. And she wasn't available at Marizod at that time. And so one day when I was in the trust office, Monty saw me walking past in the sort of the section where the cars come in. And she came almost running out, made a beeline for me and said, Judy, there's someone I want you to meet. Please come in. And Rano had come that day to the trust office. She was a trustee. But it had been rare that she came to the trust office, and methinketh that might likely be her last visit there. I don't know that for sure. But Monty took me into a private place where Rano was sitting and introduced me. And, you know, I read Because of Love, and it was just wonderful to have a chance to spend some intimate time with her, that when she had been so unavailable, and the fact that the sister of God thought to make sure that I had a chance to do that makes it especially precious. And I used to do the historic tour at Maribod all the years I was there. So I had the great opportunity to go into the museum and every week and show the two great paintings of Rano, her 10 Circles of God, and I think it's called the Avatar. And Rano, so with the one with the Avatar, where Baba's sitting cross-legged, but very large, must be 10 feet high or something like that. And I remember that while Rano was painting that, back in the 30s or 40s, Baba walked by and took a look at it and came over to her palette and picked up the brush and painted the pupil of, I believe it was his left eye, and put down the brush and said, now it's perfect. Don't change a thing. So that's a perfect painting of Baba, which he endorsed as perfect. And on the 10 Circles of God, as you know, and it's she details it in her book. She worked on that for years, and yeah, maybe you can get I don't know if it's possible to get a photo of it up now, but that also is something like 10 feet high, and she worked on it during the I don't know if it was mostly in the 40s, and it was a period when Baba was traveling a lot with the women, and she had the order that absolutely no one was to see anything about this painting while she was working on it. and it's so large, and they were moving from place to place in India. So it was really quite difficult for her to to actually screen it off, they had to get big sheets or maybe saris or whatever they could use so that she could work on it without anyone seeing it. And then she completed it. They came back to Upper Mehrabad, and she was living in she was living in what is now the museum. And in the far back left corner of the museum, that was her studio space. And she worked on that painting. And Baba told her precisely the colors for the rose, how many, he gave her instructions on how many women should be in which circles, how many men should be in which circles, left it to her to decide what kind of clothing to give them. But the one thing Baba was very particular about was the color of the seat that Baba is sitting on, that sort of ochre color. Baba picked that out himself. And and Rano explains that she asked him at various times if he could explain something about the meaning of the different symbols and objects and creatures that were included. And Baba always declined. She said, I think I can do a better job if you explain more. But but he never really explained anything about it. But Baba was very, very particular that no one see it until he himself at some point later, had it unveiled. And of course it has that prime spot in the museum at Upper Mehrabad now. So that's a few vignettes of that I can offer, since I was hoping we would have lots of personal experiences that people might be able to share that I'd love to hear. So Jai Baba.
Well, Jai Baba, and thanks for sharing your personal experience with her and Mani. That's a beautiful story. Jai Baba. And Alan has his hand up. Jai Baba, Alan. Jai Baba.
Well, word for word, she just said what I was going to say. No, I'm teasing. I can't do that. But my memories of Rano are, she was always at Mehrabad, but she was kind of to herself. She always had a couple people around her. Mehrabad, I'm sorry. Karen corrected me now, which is more common. And then, we would break away. People would go into the Mandalay Hall. I ended up talking to Arnavas quite a lot. And I think I didn't speak that much to Rano, but I enjoyed my relationship with her, the minimal amount that it was. And I would call her Yank because she struck me, and then seeing the pictures, it really confirmed it more than I even imagined, that this woman really came from an upper class background, or certainly an upper middle class. Nobody was playing crochet and golf back in the teens and 20s unless you had some big moolah. So I sensed that from her. And she kind of had that jaw about her, that angular jaw. So I thought, like, she must be really a Yankee. I didn't know too much about her personal life. And she got a kick out of that when I would call her Yank. She would laugh, and which was, in the end, the most important thing. But didn't have too much conversation with her, actually. I'm hoping that someone here had some more intimacy than I did. I just didn't spend a lot of personal time with her. It just didn't seem to go that way. Yet, all the months and how much time we spent in Merazad over the years, and yet it was just seemed to be fleeting with her in a low, short kibitz, that kind of thing. Anyway, I wish I would have spent more time with her now in retrospect. She's a little, not intimidating, but powerful person. And she seemed to be more comfortable around women, it seemed to me, than guys. That was just my sense of it. I could have been wrong on that. Maybe I'm just reflecting my own sensitivity to that, but that was just my feeling. Anyway, I have nothing. That's it.
Well, that's good. Thank you, Jay Baba. Yeah, I do. I think that she always, when I met her, she felt pretty contemplative, if that could be put out there. It felt that she was contemplative, and she was in a space that it was hard to push into. But I'm interested that Diana's share about the artist and how she took time with that artist to discuss her work, talk to her about how to, work on Baba's eyebrows and face. I think that may have been an inroad for her, to her. Judy, go ahead.
Yeah, I remembered something I had intended to say before, and that is looking at kind of Baba's advent as a whole and who he chose for various parts of his work. It seems to me that Rano has a very unique position among the Mandali. She is the only Western woman who lived out her entire life at Merazad with Baba, who never went back. We have Rano as the only Western woman, Dr. Donkin as the only Western man. Francis Brabazon spent the last 10 years of Baba's life there in India from 59 to 69, and then left right after Baba passed. But I'm talking about the Mandali that Baba brought to him in the 30s that really lived out their whole, for her whole adult life practically. So there's that, there has to be something significant in that. I can't say what it is, but he sent back, as of course Elizabeth and Norina in the early 40s to find and found the Mayor Spiritual Center, and then Kitty, who thought and wished very much, as you probably know better than I, that to stay with Baba in India for the rest of her life. But Baba told her to, that, Elizabeth, after the accident, she needs some help. Can you stay with her? And Kitty thought, oh yeah, for 6 months or till Elizabeth recovers. And then when Baba came back in 56, I have heard that she packed her luggage, had a suitcase ready to go back with Baba in 56 and in 58. And even in 62 when she went to the East-West gathering, but Baba didn't call her back. So whatever that unique role that Rano was his choice to be the one Western woman that lived out all her days in his service in India, as opposed to Myrtle Beach or wherever he, sent each of the others. That seems to me to be very significant. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Judy. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's significant too. And it seems somehow she carried that in a way that really represented us in a very dignified and beautiful way. Meher Prasad, did you want to share?
Yeah, about the time when Baba asked Kitty to stay back in Myrtle Beach to help Elizabeth after the accident. She shared the story that when they were in the hospital in Prague, Baba asked Kitty whether she would be willing to, stay back and help Elizabeth. And Kitty said, "Why, of course, Baba." And then he said, um, "I'll go check with Elizabeth." And then apparently he went to Elizabeth in her room and asked her, "Who do you want to stay here and help, Kitty or Rano?" And Elizabeth said she picked Kitty. And Kitty said that Baba knew that he already wanted Kitty to stay back, but he kind of made it look like Elizabeth had a choice between the two. But she said that Baba must have planted the thought in her mind that she should stay back, in Elizabeth's mind that Kitty should stay back. Anyway, that was a little story I remember that Kitty shared about how she ended up staying back in US.
Thank you, Meher. Interesting. I hadn't known that there was the choice between the two. Thanks for sharing that. And Martha, do you want to share something?
Did I unmute?
Yes, you did, dear.
So I just have a couple of short stories of Rano personally. And one was in Marizad, and she gave me, I would spend time chatting with her. And because I was interested in art myself, and I had it doesn't matter. Well, anyway, I had I got my BA in art history, and I loved to paint a little bit. And anyway, we spent time together, and she gave me a little pencil. I mean, it was little because she had used it so much. It was a personal pencil that she had. And I kept that for the longest time, and I probably have it somewhere, but I don't know where my stuff is and where some things are, but I did keep it. And another time was probably the early 70s. She came to, I lived in Santa Barbara. I spent a lot of time at Marymount, and she came to Marymount, and we sat and chatted for a long time. And this was before my first marriage, which was to Sam Irvin back in, I guess we got married in 1970. So, that's correct. So she came just before our wedding, and she wasn't able to attend it, but we chatted about a lot of stuff. And it was just a really sweet kind of connection with her, which I will remember forever. So that's it. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Martha. Thank you for sharing that. That's
You're
beautiful.
welcome. Thank you.
Karen, did you want to add something? You're muted still.
I would like to take some time to talk about Rano's artwork. And then later, I also have a personal story to share. Okay, but she writes in her book, and this was added as a quote from Francis Brabazon: "Art is an act of love in likeness of itself, a spirit molding matter into lovely form. God's compassion as avatar unto men, and men's devotion to avatar as God by God, for devotion is by grace alone. That's from Stay with God.
Karen, would you read that again, please?
I will. Art is an act of love in likeness of itself, a spirit molding matter into lovely form. God's compassion as avatar unto men, and men's devotion to avatar as God, by God, for devotion is by grace alone. That's from Stay with God by Francis. So this will be about her artwork, and we had hoped, as I mentioned earlier, that Jim May could have joined us, but I will be mentioning him throughout. Rano Gayley thought her move to Baba's ashram in 1937 would mark the end of her preoccupation with painting. Instead, it led her to focus her art and her life on Meher Baba. For Rano, the art became the expression of that life. While Rano thought her painting days were over when she left New York for Nashik in December 1936, she brought her paints and her brushes with her. A few days after her arrival in Nashik, Baba asked her to do a special painting under his direction. Ruth, can you show the 10 charts, please? Baba wanted a huge chart of the 10 circles, thank you, of 120 people who surround the avatar in each advent. Baba wanted the chart to measure 5 feet by 8 feet to be done in oils. He would outline to her exactly how he wanted it to be done, a bit at a time. Rano began by making a small pencil sketch of the 10 circles to scale. In the margin, Baba put a variety of symbols which at first made no sense to her, but she later found they corresponded to the locations he wanted for the various animals, birds, plants, and modes of transport which were to surround the central focus of the 10 circles. When she made this connection, she realized Baba was letting her know, in silence, that the chart was already totally planned by him, and he was simply having her put it all on the canvas. At first, Baba wanted her to do watercolors of everything before putting paint on the canvas. She said watercolors couldn't be changed, but if she made pencil sketches, she could easily change colors or make other corrections. Baba agreed to that. She began doing pencil sketches and submitted them to Baba one by one for his approval. If he liked a sketch very much, he signed it with his full signature. Others he signed with his initials. Some he passed without signing, and these have her check mark on them. Once he approved a sketch, Rano transferred it to its allotted space on the canvas. In Cannes, Nani found a book of birds, animals, and insects that helped her. During wartime, Rano found a magazine with pictures of the bombers and warships Baba designated. Baba gave her photographs of the 3 temples, small Hindu temples built for him in different parts of India by some of his devotees, which she resized to fit the spaces available. Baba gave her the coloring for the 7 roses. Otherwise, the coloring was left to Rano. He mixed the paint himself for the platform on which he is seated way at the top. As Judy had mentioned earlier, whenever Rano asked for explanations, she received the same answer and reply. Baba looked at her and then dictated on the alphabet board, "Do as I say and don't ask questions." She worked on the chart off and on from 1937 to 1943 at Nasik, Khan, and Meherabad at Baba's order. She was to take the canvas with her wherever they went. At Nasik, Baba gave her certain hours every day to work on the chart. No one was allowed to see what she was doing, and she curtained off a corner of the veranda. Baba seemed to have forgotten about the chart when they were in Bangalore, but when they returned to Meherabad in 1943, she sent a note to Baba asking if she could continue. He sent back word saying she should make a rough draft of the whole thing and indicate where there were spaces still to be filled in. Dr. Neelu wrote in all the details under Baba's direction. She lived downstairs in the converted water tank at Meherabad in the far left-hand corner of the west room. The only light was from the door and ventilators. She still had to keep a sheet around her bed so no one would see what she was doing. There was the son of a member of the ashram who peeked, but other than that, no one else could see what she was working on. The first person to see the completed chart was Mera in 1945. Baba had invited some of his male followers from around the world to gather at Meherabad. He told her to go to Meherabad, take out the chart, and show it to them. Baba did say it was for posterity. No explanation was given to them. No one asked any questions, which was helpful to Rano since she had none. After 1954, the chart was hung in the museum on Meherabad Hill, where it is available for all visitors to see. And many of us have had that very fortunate opportunity. One day in the summer of 1972, Padre came to the trust office in Ahmednagar. He said to Rano, by the way, that 10 circles canvas of yours has had a slight accident. When she arrived at Meherabad, she was met by James May, a young American Baba lover, and told him she had come to repair the canvas. James took her by the hand and said, come up the hill and see. She was shocked. There was a clear 9-inch long gash running from a position just to the left of Baba seated on the platform, down and into the first circle. But the worst was a shredded gash in the middle of the canvas, which ran for 18 inches from the bottom. The damage had been done when a workman on a rickety ladder removed the wires from the hooks on the back of the chart. There were 2 men spotting the workmen. The workmen told them to let go of the ladder, not a clever thing to say, and take the chart. As the men let go of the ladder, the canvas slipped, making the smaller gash. Then the workmen jumped off the ladder, making an even larger gash. Jim May volunteered to take the canvas back to the United States, find a restorer, and somehow get it done. Rano wrote to Elizabeth telling her how it happened. Elizabeth asked Jim to get in touch with her on his arrival and told Rano not to worry. It would be all right. Jim took the canvas to the first restorer that Elizabeth sent him to. There were problems with what he did, so he went to someone else. Then eventually it was brought back to the first restorer, if I remember correctly. Finally, the man did such a perfect job that unless you knew there had been an accident, you couldn't find the 2 gashes. She thought the possible reasons for the whole accident and felt Baba probably wanted the canvas to be in America, as he had wanted it to be in Europe while she was working on it. During the years she completed the 10 circles chart, she also completed 2 oil paintings of Baba. The first, painted in 1939 in Bangalore, was titled The Beloved. When she was putting the finishing touches on the painting, Baba came by, as Judy had mentioned. He gestured, what was she doing? Oh, Baba, the painting is finished, but I can't seem to get it right. The right expression in the eyes. Baba took her palette, mixed the palette, touched the brush to the painting's left eye, and said, it is finished. Now don't touch it. She said it was now perfect. The second oil painting, the Avatar, was done at Baba's request at Meherabad in 1940. Baba said he wanted a painting of himself seated and dressed in a sadra. The painting was intended for a special festival in North India. Rano had no training in life-size drawings. She thought a standing figure would be easier than a sitting one. Baba asked for it to be painted on a piece of plywood, covering another painting that was on that plywood. The finished painting that she did pleased Baba, and he had it framed. He brought it several times to Mandali Hall at Lower Meherabad. On one occasion, before the New Life, he had the men Mandali say prayers of different religions before it, and Baba bowed before it, in effect, bowing down to himself. From 1943 to 1962, she completed a few charts, drawings, and paintings, including a watercolor work, Baba Holds the Key to the Heart. That was done in 1945. The God Speaks chart was done in 1956. Her painting and drawings had a definite pattern to them, she said. When Baba asked for a particular work, he always gave her ample time to work on it. But if she tried to do something on her own, she was constantly interrupted and could never finish it. In 1956, when Baba went to the US, he left her and the other women in Satara. She developed sketches for her chart to be used in a new edition of Baba's book, God Speaks. The idea was suggested by Ivy Deuce. Baba gave Rano permission. She began to form ideas and made preliminary sketches. One time, Rano asked Baba what happens on the plains. He just told her to try her best. Again, no explanation. Baba gave his approval by giving her all the wording for this chart. He also chose the colors for the clothes to be worn by the young aspirant, who is turned toward the plains. In 1962 and each year thereafter, in February for Baba's birthday at Meherabad, she painted in watercolor crayon interpretive schemes of some aspect of his divinity. The first charcoal she ever did of Baba was in 1937. It was a head study entitled The God-Man. She took time out from the 10 circles chart to do it one time when Baba was away on a trip. The large number of pencil head studies of Baba, which Ruthie showed in her beginning slideshow, were done primarily between 1971 and onward, with 20 of them done in 1972 alone. She gave most of them away to Baba lovers around the world. I'm going to finish with 2 excerpts from letters Baba wrote to Rano. And in the letters, he would call her Rano. I don't know if anyone else knows the correct pronunciation. Merano. On painting, 1935. This must be continued. I want you to, for it keeps you thinking always of your beloved, and one is your noblest expressions of love. With the depth of feeling and love you have for me, you will bring out something that will be marvelous, being the expression of love divine. In 1936, again in a letter addressed to me, Rano, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, I have seen the photocast interpretation of the spirit dance done by you. It is splendid. Indeed, it was the living spirit of love. And he goes on to write, art alone, however perfect, couldn't do it unless inspired by love. And it is because of this rare combination of art and love that it has been done so beautifully. Jai Baba. Not yet.
Jay Baba, Karen. Beautiful. Sorry, I did my best to keep up with you.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you so much.
Jay Baba. And Judy, did you have something that you wanted to share?
Yes, I remembered a couple of things that seems important to include today. And one is the close friendship that between Mani and Rano. It's my understanding and that Rano was one of Mani's closest friends, and they seemed to have an unusual bond in my brief experience. And Mani used to call, so this is another side. There's the artistic side that Karen so beautifully shared with us just now. And Mani used to call Rano our jack of all trades. She was the handy woman on the women's side at Merazad, and would fix everything. She had all these mechanical abilities, and she, it, as Erish would say, it fell to her lot to be the lugger of luggage on the Blue Bus Tour. She was in charge of loading and unloading the countless number of bags and parcels and so forth on top that were on top of the bus as it trombled through all over India. And she would get so frustrated. She had a short fuse with her temper, and especially in the earlier years. And she would get quite angry with the various people that at the last minute had something else to add, or, because she had really, she worked very hard to find places that she could fit everything and tie it down so the bus could get going. And she was always under great pressure before the bus left, and then after the bus landed at night when everybody was bedraggled and tired and needed their bedding roll, or so often they didn't. Baba would say, oh, we're gonna just leave tomorrow morning, just, you don't need your bedding rolls, do you really? And they'd, no, Baba, but Rano was the main one that was schlepping luggage during whatever travels were happening. She was very strong physically. She was very athletic, and could play badminton and whatever quite strongly, as interestingly could Mara, though so delicate as we think of her. She was able to wield quite a strong whack at when she played badminton. But back to the focus on Rano, So she had this very kind of athletic, almost you could say masculine side for the roles that she played in the women's ashram, whether it was at Upper Maribod when they lived there, when they were traveling on the Blue Bus tours, when they were living in Bangalore or Satara, or when they came back to Marazad. So that was very much a part of her role in service of Baba and with the other women. So I thought that was important to mention that.
Thank you. Yes, Judy, I think I've heard that as well, that she carried quite a load. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else that has something to share. Charlie.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share a little bit. Rano was one of my very dearest friends throughout my entire life. And she was someone from 1971. I would write her almost every 3 months on everything I was working on. And it involved the painting. And it really was with Rano that I was carrying out all of this in the beginning. Monty was there in the background, but it was all with Rano. And it started that it wasn't a painting, it was in glass. And so we started with the building of the glass studio. And then we started with all of the technical parts of it and getting Steuben glass involved and started learning how to carve and cut glass and all those things for the mural was to be done in glass. And so therefore, for the first 15 years or so, it was everything to do with glass with Rano. And it was very exciting. And then it had a transformation in the fact that we thought we were working in the negative when we were working with glass, and we needed to work in the positive, meaning you subtract glass when you're carving, and we wanted to be adding. So we switched it over somewhat to a painting process, and we ended up with a combination of a transparency, which was just like a glass window and and an actual painting. And the painting actually wasn't supposed to be put in the samadhi. It was supposed to be the transparency. But Monty, just like she didn't even see it, but she wanted to go with the painting instead at the very end. But it was a long story with lots of twists and turns, and it connected me with Rano throughout all my life, and it was really wonderful. And I spent wonderful times with Rano. When I'd go to India, she would come on over to Maribod and spend a whole day with me, just chatting, and we'd do this on a regular basis, and we're very, very close. And some of the fun things I can remember, some of my favorite times were, say, up in the tower room, and we'd be going through all of the different Blue Bus Tour charts, and we'd be talking about how unbelievable the journey was to be taking a bus over the entire India and putting all of these, taking, just like you were saying, she was the jack of all trades. So she was be loading the bus and taking care of all the problems. And she was the go-between for the men mandali to the women mandali. And she was the element that protected Mara from the men, because she would be the one that was holding down the fort, so to speak, on the women's ashram, and making sure everything was working comfortably. In the early days, it was really Kitty and Rano, but then when Kitty left, it was really all on Rano's plate. And Monty and Rano worked together somewhat to do that, but it was more Rano than anyone else to deal with the men and all the other different issues that were going on. And so it was, she served a very, very valuable spot in the mandali of taking care of the women for Baba. And she was just, and she really was the jack of all trades. And her painting was really just another avenue. It wasn't, she had so many different parts to her that were so fabulous. And so, everything, she did everything. And she would always refer to herself as the jack of all trades. And she really was. And it was just delightful. And that run through my mind at the time where she was always embarrassed. He painted the second painting you were talking about that Baba had covered up was Helen Dom's painting that was painted over by Rano and put in the Rahuri cabin. And the thing about it is she felt so bad about painting over someone else's painting. However, that painting Helen made to go at the end of the Samadhi, and it was supposed to be, you know, where eventually the project that she and I worked on, the window project that ended up being a painting, ended up. And so it was one of those things that the reason she told me that they didn't want it there was because it upset Mara, because Mara saw Baba suffering in the painting. And if you look, there's a photocopy of it, and it's Baba, and it looks just like he looked in the Samadhi when he passed physically. And it was just, you know, it's a beautiful painting. There's no two ways about it. But because of that fact, they, you know, Baba told Mani and Rano to, you know, undo that painting and put it away that way. So it was an interesting thing. But when Rano would, of course, take me there and show me every detail of every painting. She'd want me to come there and look at, be it the seven, you know, the pyramid painting, or if it's a Rahuri cabin painting, or any other art she did. She would always like to bring me around and explain everything she could in detail about that painting and all the different issues about it. And I don't know why it fell to my lot, but I felt extremely blessed with that relationship. And she was truly, I'd say, I felt a tremendous amount of past life karma with her, so that that's why it really comes down to, I guess it's with everything with Baba, it's connection. And if you have connection with different mandali, that also is connection, and that ties you in closer with each one of them. And that's what it was. It was that one of those things as being a very best friend, and it was just a wonderful time that I spent with her and with Mani. And that went through the whole lifetime of mine, and it was really wonderful. And I'm trying to think what other things. She was, like you said, best friends with Mani. You know, those two were just delightful with each other. And it was that way with Kitty and her too, in the early days too. But with Mani, it was really the ultimate of the two very best friends. And that was just, you know, one of those things that was very, very special. And she was just truly wonderful. And I guess I have just a huge quantity of letters, you know, back and forth, you know, which are endless of all the time. But the things that stand out most in my mind were just the times that we'd spend together, you know, just her and me, just chatting and talking and having lunches together and everything else, and just enjoying each other very much. And that's what it came down to. And she was so everyday, practical, and down to earth, and such a delight to spend time with. That's what I wanted to give to people in my memory of her. Was she was the sort of person that you would consider as one of your very, like I do, my very, very best friends, and someone who you would just couldn't wait to spend time to sit down and chat with about all kinds of things. And that was Rano. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So that kind of wraps it up. You know, it just seemed that I was at the right place at the right time. Damn lucky is what I'd call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So I have endless memories of her, endless things that go on through my mind when I think of her, and all the happiness that was around those times. Yeah, it was great.
Whew, Charlie, you just brought it. Thank you so much.
I just say one thing, Charlie.
Yeah.
As you were talking, your experience is so unique with all the letters, etc., and everything you've done. Could you write like a small book? Relationship. I mean, it's so beautiful. I know
I'm too old for that.
It's just wonderful.
I'm just barely making it day by day. I just, you know, So yeah, I have just enough time to clean my backyard and take care of the cats.
I got that, but just
No,
maybe
yeah.
find some. Are you down in? Where are you in Phoenix?
Yeah. No, we just moved up from El Salvador, and now we're in just below Phoenix, out in a little oasis in the desert, and it's just delightful out here. Really nice. It's extremely. It's like a village out in the out in the desert. It's really something. It's of course it's ridiculously hot at this time of year, but the rest of the year is just beautiful and very enjoyable. And you know, it's one of those things that you just have no idea where life is going to take you, pathways and things. So you just sort of follow the stream, but charge of whatever I'm doing and wherever I am, and it's sort of like that's all that matters. And so I'm very, very happy with everything, and just going along. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, mate, you got a boatload of
boatload of memories. Exactly. Yeah. No, I do.
We go into the samadhi, which has been a while now. It's COVID. We see your task, and we didn't know the background of what you just described, or at least I didn't. I really feel that it would be a real,
but Rano, Rano was key on all the different issues. For instance, like it was sort of funny. I'll just give you a few instances of it. First I had it done. My first painting, I painted it across the wall of my house outside, which was this beautiful Palladian style house, and to have Baba Samadhi painted on the wall outside was rather funny. But on the other hand, to me, I thought it looks, it looked wonderful to me. And of course, through the years, different people would come by and say, "Oh my gosh, you must be a Baba lover." You see that, it's so funny. But I use it as a person to work it as scale as to how the painting should be. And it was from that I realized that it shouldn't be a square of the window. It should be an arch in the whole thing. So that's how it ended up being an arch set right inside. And so in the process of that, I'd take over wood over to India along with lots of silicone and make an arch that would be stuck overnight with the silicone in the samadhi and try to get exactly the right fit and everything. So all these different things. And then Rano would work with me on the things. And I kept saying, I'd really like to She said, "Oh no, we don't want that. We don't want the roses to come up." And then I said, "Okay." And so I went along with that. And then later it would come up. I kept saying. Then later I'd say to Money, I thought, when Rano wasn't there anymore, I'd say, "Money, you sure you wouldn't like the roses up there?" And she said, "No, I don't think so." So I did it several ways, and finally at the end, I just said, "Now we're just going to sneak a few roses in there, if that's okay." And sure enough, we just were able to put roses everywhere there. It looks really nice. They pull up from the bottom. So that was sort of fun. But it was one of those things. There are so many little changes that went on. I mean, the fact that it was glass going to, to a transparency, and the transparency wasn't accepted. And there was the painting that ended up there. It's one of those things. It's just like, when I think back to it, it really was just like Helen Dahm proposed something, and Baba, took away that proposal, and then I proposed something. Baba took away that proposal, and then, so you just have no idea which way Baba's going to go with whatever your proposals are. But as it said, you just have to keep proposing things, and like Rick Chapman said, that Baba told him that God proposes and man disposes, because he came to spend just, a little time there, but Rick was so delightful that Baba said he wanted him to spend more time with him. And so that was really, it was just, it was one of those things. You just have to keep proposing these different ideas and see what happens. And so that's what took place. And, but it has nothing to do with what's right and what's wrong. It's just a matter of where Baba finally decides to put you in the whole program of the different things. And it's, and you just have to be very flexible. That's what it really comes down to. And don't pretend like anything is in cement. everything is liquid, with Baba. Anything can change any moment, and it's just that way. And so it's all delightful though. Yeah, it's really, it's a blessing. Every life is a blessing with Baba. That's all there is to it. Yeah, and that's the biggest issue. Yeah.
Tina's anxious. Just a minute, Betty. Tina's kind of anxious, so let's let her go
Yeah.
first, Betty.
Oh, well, I could wait, but I just wondered, you said that Mani and Rano were best friends. They seem so very different. Mani's very childlike, very playful. Rano I perceived as very serious and, practical. What was?
Well, I'll give you an idea of it. Rano would work on her art, and then she would always take every painting to Mani, and Mani would make all the corrections in it and say a little more shading here, a little less here, a little there, and it was Mani who did all of that. That's how close they were, because she was very sure that her best critic and her best friend was definitely Mani, and Mani actually did the same thing for my sister for a long time, but it was one of those things that Mani was an excellent at knowing how to change things for Baba, and just it was one of those things that I just think, and I saw it firsthand of Rano and Mani together for a long, long time, and it was like a hand and glove. I mean, there was no difference between the two, and I'd work with all. And one of the funnier things that took place in this, one time when I was working with on the painting, I came to Rano and I said, Rano, I think it's really important that we show it to Mara. And Rano said, oh, no, you don't want to do that. And I said, no, I really think we should show it to Mara and get her input on it. And she said, oh, Charlie, I promise you, do not show it to Mara. You don't want that. And I said, oh, well, I just have a gut reaction inside me that I really should, Rano. And she said, okay, you do it at your own, but I'm warning you ahead of time. Whatever Mara says, that's what we have to do. And you don't have any way out, because Baba said that whatever Mara says is the law, and you have to go that way. And that includes it right down to the littlest items. And so I said, well, okay. So I went and talked it over with Mara, and had a long time with Mara, quite a few times with her, on the whole subject of what was going on. And she made a few corrections and things she thought she'd like to see. And so afterwards, but this is the funny part to that, was that as time went by in life, everyone got so used to the photo in the Samadhi and not having a painting or anything else there, but the photo, that it was really pretty much, a question of should there ever be a painting, because everyone liked the photo. But then what happened was Mani came and she said, no, we have to go now with the painting, because of what's happened is that Mara put her stamp on it, and this is work that Mara approved of and Mara wanted. And so therefore we're going to go with this, what Mara approved. So in other words, had I not friends in high places, Mara, I never could have gotten the window approved to get into the Samadhi. So it really, and when people said, how did that come out? I said, it's not my fault. It's all Mara's fault. She's the one that approved of all of this. I mean, so when it comes down to the painting, this is Mara's doing. I'm just working on the sidelines, helping whatever people want to see happen. But it was all Mara all the way through. But it was funny how this was, you can kind of take a little glimpse of Mara's relationship with Rano, and Rano, knowing perfectly well what Baba would say on any issue, if it's regarding the luggage on top of the bus, if it's regarding one of the animals that she would be taking care of, or anything else. If you ask Mara and Mara likes it, you are going to have to do that, whatever it is. That's why she liked the freedom of all of a sudden changing the glass around or doing this and that, doing different ideas. But all of a sudden, once you involve Mara, that's Baba's precious one. And it's sort of like, and whatever Mara says is the law. And it really, it's funny, but in life, I don't think any of us really realized when we're with Mara how precious that time was. I mean, the fact that she's so close to Baba and so extremely valuable to Baba, and that everything in connection with Mara. Mara basically is like the conduit between all of us and him. I mean, that's basically what it seems like. It's just incredible. So, I was just really fortunate. Again, damn lucky that I made this close connection with Mara. And Mara and I were always good friends and always had a wonderful time together. And quite often I'd be able to come and tape Mara or videotape her and all by herself. And Monty would even encourage me. He said, "Oh, Charlie, you should go and just spend time with Mara videotaping her." And I always kicked myself because I didn't do that enough, and it was sort of like, but Monty was always trying to push me to spend more time with Mara doing tapes or this or that. And Mara was just I just love Mara. She's very, she's the one I image with Baba all the time. Yeah, it's just very important. Yeah, really wonderful. But I would just say that you could kind of see Rano's could have more relationship with Monty than she could with Mara or other ones, because she could have more of the friction that I think that she liked to, argue about certain points or this or that and talk about things. And this is more who Rano was. And it was sort of like, and also be more frank, not be so guarded or anything else, just be happy in all those different occasions. And Rano was so sweet. I just love Rano. She's just delightful.
You keep referring to the painting, but I can't visualize. Do you have a copy on your computer or a photo of it that we could see?
Of the transparency?
The painting that you and Rano finished that came from the glass?
Oh yeah, well, I have a transparency picture. And it was kind of odd because we put it up the night before and many people like the transparency more than they like the painting. However, when Monty came the next morning, I think people told her, "It's too much Charlie and we want to see more Baba." And so therefore, instead of Monty didn't even look at the transparency. She just said, I want the painting in there. And so I had the transparency in there, but she wasn't going to look at it. So I put the painting in instead. And she said, "That's what I want right there." And that was it. And so, and of course, I don't question what people want or don't want or anything else. It's just, these are Baba's mandali, and you don't come back on anything they decide. That's just what it is. Yeah. So I have pictures of the transparency installed in the Samadhi, and it looked very nice. And it was sort of fun. It's enjoyable, but I'm not technically. I'm technically handicapped. I can't put it up on the computer.
All right.
Yeah.
Ruthie, he's talking about the centerpiece of Mayor Baba's Samadhi. When you walk in, it's the main painting you see. That's what Charlie painted.
Yeah,
and
I got it.
The whole time.
I think I can visualize it, but I wanted something to kind of bring it straight into my mind, my eyes.
It was interesting. Yeah, when I first had this image of, because I'd been working in Baba in glass, and for a while, and that was in 1969, 1970. And then when I went and I brought a book of all the different things I'd done with Baba to the Mandali, so they knew all the stuff I was doing. But one of the last days when I was visiting at that time in 71, I saw Rano. Before I even saw Rano, as soon as I walked into the Samadhi after Pandey had repainted it, I looked up and I thought, wow, this would be a perfect place for some glass, to go there. And I thought, but I had never, oh yeah, there you go. But I had never, there you go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it would be a perfect place for some glass, but I didn't want to even broach the subject. I was not going to say a word, so I measured the whole back area, the window area, all with my comb, by counting the bristles on my comb, how big the whole thing was. And I measured it by holding my comb and counting the size. So I thought I'd go home and make a painting of what I had in mind, and then I just send it to the Mandali. But the last day I was there, I saw Rano walking up to the Samadhi, and she had a tape measure in her hand. And I said, well, Rano, what are you up to? And she said, oh, I'm just going to measure something. And immediately I knew what was going on. It's like intuition just took over. I mean, it was like, and I said, well, let me help you. And she said, that'd be just fine. So I went into the Samadhi, and we sat down and started measuring the back area for the window area. And I said, well, Rana, what do you think you're putting in here? And she said, well, we had a painting at one time, but we're just trying to come up with something else. And I said, well, I thought glass would look really beautiful here. And she said, well, you know, Monty and I did too. We really thought glass was the answer. And I said, well, I've worked a bit in it. I could help you on that. And she said, oh, that'd be perfect. And so she took me outside to Monty, outside the Samadhi. And she said, Monty, Charlie's going to do a glass window for the back of the Samadhi. And she said, oh, that'd be perfect. And then Monty quickly pulled out a painting, that painting that the mural is, gave it to me and said, this is what Mara would like to see. This is her favorite picture of Baba. And so we'll do it on this one here. And within about 5 minutes of me expressing this, they had the painting, you know, the picture and everything right there. And it was all just automatic, bang, bang, bang. It was kind of, yeah. And it was kind of crazy how fast it all took place. And so what happened is I went home and I started studying all of the different aspects of the different glass that could be there. And the glass that I like the best is what's called cameo. Cameo glass is where you carve it away. And it's something that the French really did a beautiful job with cameo glass. And I thought, well, this will be something I can do. And so I got Steuben Glass Company to help me doing the technique and everything. And so the head of the art department of Steuben Glass was the ones who were spending months doing booklets on how to carve and everything else to me. And he said, if ever I was to write a book about how to carve glass, this would be the book. And it was all the writings that we had back and forth for months about all the techniques of setting up all the different glass parts. And so I had a huge glass studio with all kinds of, you know, glass melting furnaces and everything under the sun. And so I finally developed a technique of that worked quite well. And but the thing was, it was very time consuming, very big. And it was one of those things that I thought once I thought I could do it, but then when I went to the India taking different samples, you know, the Mandali would say things like, oh, I really like the dust on Baba's feet. Please don't lose the dust that's on Baba. And I was thinking to myself, how am I ever going to do this worried about the dust on Baba's feet, you know, because this is not something you worry about in glass. This is something that you worry about, you know, in painting, you can do that. But in glass, you probably can't. And so I just thought, well, I'll just do my very best in painting first and then try to do it. And so that was what took place there. But, you know, it was one of the funny things that occurred to, you know, I just was going to tell you a little story too. While I was working on it, in the room I was working in it on this painting, I had an air conditioner on the outside. It was 2 stories up, and there was an air conditioner outside. And one time, one of my friends came over to my house and looked up the air conditioner and said, Charlie, I know you love Meher Baba, but really, do you have to paint a picture of him on your air conditioner outside your room? And I said, I didn't paint that. That just automatically showed up. And I was thinking I was probably the only one who saw Baba's face in this. But, you know, everybody else, when they looked at it, they said, oh, what, you painted Baba's face on the air conditioner. It's sort of like Mara's tree. You know, Baba's face has a way of showing up, you know, on something. And I kind of got the feeling that that was his sign of, go ahead, you're doing fine, you know, sort of a thing. So that was kind of funny in that period. Yeah. But that was just one of the many, many things. These are all kind of odd little tales that tie together, you know, in a funny way. Yeah.
Charlie, hi, this is Mona. I wanted to ask you, is there a place where we can see all your paintings and Rano's paintings? And also, you know, you just mentioned Baba's face as it's of emerging on his own. So I have his face emerged on my wall and ceiling as well.
No, I don't have a space for all of those different things. And I don't, you know, it was sort of, it was one of those things. My job was to work, to do the painting for Baba Samadhi. And I absolutely love painting Baba. That's one of my very favorite things. And if I was given, a lifetime over, I would definitely just spend my life painting his face. But I haven't, I have all the different things. I haven't gone that direction with all the different things. I've been so busy with so many different Baba projects and other things that it's kind of like I haven't gone that direction. But I do absolutely love all the Baba art that's coming out. I think there's so many creative people. And the thing about it, I'm not going to be the last person who does the Samadhi painting. There's going to be other people coming along well after I'm gone. And there'll be the second rendition, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth rendition. It will go on and on. Different people will paint it, and it'll continually, they'll probably use the same concept or format, but it will be other people will come along to improve on it, do a better job. And this is just sketch number one. There'll be many more sketches as the years. So within 700 years, there'll be a whole different painting by several different people. Yeah. So it really, this is just the beginning of it all. And, I think everybody is the artistic element in loving Baba is really ripe. It's everywhere. You see some just beautiful artwork from so many people. And I really have a feeling that this is Baba expressing himself in love through the art of the different people. And I just think that we have a lot of creative souls out there that can do a wonderful job on it. Yeah, and I kind of I'd look forward in my next lifetimes to see the difference. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
that's it. Yeah. But it was Rano and Mani and Mara's window. That's what I'd like to say. I'm just the person who did whatever they, tap danced to whatever tune they played. And it was really their call on everything. And so that's how it happened. Yeah.
I think Betty wanted to ask you something or had a comment. Go
I'm
ahead.
just asking for VJ. VJ wanted to know, Charlie, how long it took you to.
Oh my gosh. Well, from 71, I know it was at least 20 years. Yeah, it was a 20-year project. And that's because the glass was such a big deal. The glass studio, making that was huge. And it was, it was entirely, very, very fancy studio. I mean, it had every sort of a furnace, every sort of an oven for baking the glass, everything. It was just huge. And fortunately, I had enough space at that time that it was several warehouses in size. And it was all, it was just tremendous. And it really had everything. And people who had glass studios would come on over and they would just drop their jaw looking at it. And one time I invited Jack Small and Audie to come on Silence Day and take a tour of the studio. And they went through the whole thing from beginning to end. And afterwards, Audie wrote down on a piece of paper to me that this has been more fun than going to Disneyland. He said he had just a wonderful time seeing all of this. And it was so impressive to him that he really loved it. And so that was really fun, it's just, but it was mind-boggling how much stuff and how big it was. And had I just gone with a painting at the beginning, it would have been narrowed down to probably just a few years, but that's not, Baba wanted me to keep his eye on him and to be preoccupied and work every day on thinking I was working on a project that was definitely this way or definitely that way or whatever. But it was just like everything. Baba gives us something to focus on him and keep us busy so that our, it's the journey. It's not the goal. It's the journey is all completely working on something that is related to Baba and remembering Baba. And that's all it really, out of the whole thing seems to be happening in this whole thing. And just like Rano was just so fortunate that Baba never sent her back or anywhere else, just kept her right there the whole time. And I felt I was very fortunate that the Mongoli didn't get rid of me at any point in this. which could easily have happened. Yeah, so that was good. Yeah, no, it really was wonderful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can understand why when this came up today about Rano, I thought I really have to stop and come aboard this program because of the fact I love her so much and I'm so indebted to her as one of my very, very best friends in life. And she'll always remain that way with me, and it's just and she's right. She's always, and I remember it's so easy for me to think of her and remember her so dearly. It's just really special. Yeah, it was really fun. I'd say that's what it was. I've had a lot of fun with Rano. Yeah, and Rano had fun with me. She was enjoying it just as much as I was, and it was sort of like because we both think alike. It was sort of like, and I think it's easy for me to say that too because we had both start on something and she'd say, oh, well, what about this? And I say, yeah, that's a good idea. And then I say, what about that? And she said, oh, that's great. Let's try that. And we work together all the time on things and so really we had a lot of fun and it was very enjoyable. Yeah. But she is unique, very unique. And I'm sorry I never spent time with her mother. I'm sure her mother was a wonderful person too. Yeah. So that was nice.
Well, Charlie, can we snag you for an interview, Charlie? Would you commit to that at some point?
Yeah, I'd happily talk about anything, anytime. I mean, I'm very limited, as you can see. This is my only thing is really, tied in with Baba and the Samadhi, but I was very fortunate to work on the different phases of it too. I worked on the repainting the Samadhi and on the outside of the Samadhi, sanding and cleaning and doing all that sort of stuff. And so all the different aspects of it, it seems like I've always, had a karma with the Samadhi and it went that way all through my life, but it's really, really nice. And that's it. And I think it was just the right place at the right time in so many instances. Yeah, and just the karma. Yeah. Somewhere in the past lives. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
damn lucky, as you say.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, how beautiful to be.
So I'd be happy and
wonderful.
But the main thing today is Rano, and very, very dear to me. Yeah.
Oh, well,
you sure brought her to life for us today, Charlie. Thank you for that. You really just gave a whole, filled it in. Thank you so much. Your best friend. That says it all.
Oh, yeah. What a joy. What a joy to hear that story.
Well, all right, Charlie. Again, thank you so much. I just can't thank you enough. And I'm speaking for everyone.
The pleasure's all mine. And it just, what can I say? That's just Baba. He just, he's always got something for you. And the funny thing is sharing just reminds you all the things that you have to be thankful for, in your life. It's sort of like every time you share, it awakens something in you to say, gosh, that is just wonderful. And I mean, and it works in all directions. It's sort of like all the people you're connected with, how precious they are to you and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, bountiful. The bountiful giver.
Yeah, it really is. Really is. Ridiculously so. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, there are a couple of links that have been put in the chat. Farishte put, I think, some links for the tomb and for some Rano Gayley art as well. So if anybody wants to go in there and snag those before we finish today, you'll have some links. And again, just gratitude to everyone who's shared, everyone who's here, everyone who loves the beloved. And we are so honored to have someone like Rano Gayley that we can speak about and learn about and feel through the sharings of people who loved her and spent time with her, and bring the joy of Baba's love through her. So thank you, everyone. We'll have a moment of silence, and then we can all have our kichés. Jai Baba, if you'd like to unmute.
Thank you, Ruthie. Thank you, Karen, for your wonderful presentations, both the bio and Rano's art. Thanks to everybody for helping me remember Baba through us remembering Rano together. Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Thank you, Charlie. That was wonderful.
Thank you for having this program. I just it was just a joy to be thinking about Rano, and you know, it made me smile. Just as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, that's my best friend. I have to be there.
Well, I'm so glad you were, and you shared so much about the history of the years and years of working on the centerpiece and Baba's evolution of it and Meher's evolution.
Well, it's funny, but Rano's like family to me, and it's just she's just someone I really love, really enjoy. And you know, it was sort of interesting too. Like I was saying earlier, Diana spent a lot of time, my sister Diana, always asking Mani about, you know, the artwork and how this is and how that is, and she gave a lot of instruction to Diana, and Diana is just you know, she just feels that was priceless time, you know, and the odd thing is, this is another family thing that's kind of funny, is that for my entire family, my younger sister and my older sister both went to India, and my mother, I'm colorblind, so my mother spent hours and hours working on the painting with me, because she would tell me what colors, so I wouldn't be painting Baba's face green and things like that, because it was a group effort, you know, doing any of the work. And it was sort of funny, but for all of us, Mani reminded us completely of my grandmother, because my grandmother not only had the same looks as Mani, but the same mannerisms and everything. It was like it was like a carbon copy. It was just ridiculous. And the moment, you know, for my sister Mimi or my sister Diana walking in, it had the same impression I did of, holy mackerel, that's my grandmother, you know. And it was so, and of course Diana would endlessly tell Mani about my grandmother, because my grandmother was the heart of the family. And it was one of those things that she would always just go on and on about, you know, how the connection there and all that stuff. And it was quite interesting, all of the different, you know, I think the karma is always interesting, how you have a karma that's working with a group of people, and it carries on. And so the art karma was one of those things with Rano and Mani and me and my sister Diana and my mother, and all the way around, all these different people connected through, you know, Baba has little strings that he attaches different ways. Yeah, it's sort of interesting, bringing different people into it. Yeah. You know, always something. Jai Baba. Thank you again.
Charlie,
Thank you all.
are are you in our directory, or do you?
Oh yeah, no, I get all the news and all the updates and everything, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I just love it, you know. And I'm always coming in for this or that or the other thing, and I usually hang off on the sidelines a bit, but I'm always there. I also love always going to India for, hearing the latest things, what Janice is up to over there and all of the things happening on that end of the world. And I'd say this is the only good thing that came out of the pandemic are these Zoom meetings.
So true.
It's almost worth it for that. I think it really connected the Baba family like crazy, and it's just it couldn't be more valuable. And it's just like all of a sudden there's a whole new energy. And as Marinus was saying the other day, he said it's instant Baba. We now have, like, you have instant food in a can or instant TV dinners or this or that. He said the Zoom meeting is instant Baba. Now you can have instant Baba. You just pop it in the microwave and it's right on your thing and you're in a Baba meeting. It's like this is inconceivable when we are all starting in with Baba. You'd have instant Baba meetings. Yeah. But that's just what this is all about now. Really, it's really, Meredith really nailed it with that, and I thought that was really funny. The instant Baba meetings.
Yeah. Martha keeps popping in. Do you have something, Martha?
Yeah, I do. Charlie, I spent a fair amount of time in India after 1969, and a fair amount of time with your sister Diana, and quite a bit of time actually, in terms of I would sit down and eat with her and Bill, and she told me that you painted the painting in the tomb, because I was just like, whoa, this is so awesome, and I always wanted to meet you. So I feel like I've met you, and I just want to thank you so much for all the sharing you did.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to talk about something when you don't really have any big part in it. This is all a Mondley. I was just in the right place at the right time, and that's really what it comes down to. And another interesting thing about that, you're talking about that, how you get a premonition. At least for me in my life, I always sort of see what's going to happen ahead of time. And I was talking to my sister, and she said, when I first started, I decided I had this time on my hands, and I was going to do Baba's life in large murals. And so I started with the thing that was 10 feet by 14 feet and whatever, just a huge, big, like a billboard sized mural of Baba. And I said, well, Diana, that's really great. And then she said, but what happened really surprised me. And that was, she had gotten 2 of these things put together, and all of a sudden she got this request from Ted to do all of these other ones for the dining hall over there and she said that, and I said, that sounds exactly what my experience was. Baba puts it into your mind that you're going to do something, even before I had any clue that they would want me to be working on the Samadhi painting or anything like that. So it really is something that, it's kind of like you get a shot of what's about to come, your future, even, like it hits you before you get involved in it, which is really interesting. And it was the same thing for my sister Diana. She was getting that same, thing, because who would start off building, painting pictures of Baba that are 14 feet by 8 feet or whatever size those things are? They're huge. Yeah. Let alone, I don't know how many of them there are, but I know there's a lot.
Well, am I still unmuted, Martha?
Yeah, you're here, Martha.
Okay, I just also want to say that Diane also told me that she was colorblind. Is that true, Charlie?
She's entirely colorblind. She has absolutely no rods or whatever they're called in your eyes to allow color. But this is the odd thing about it. She can do beautiful black and white. If you ever, I have beautiful pictures of Mara and things like that, all in black and white, that are mind-boggling. Absolutely, they're priceless. I mean, they're beautiful. And at the same time, her color is, she goes by color by saying she can feel color. you know, and how do you feel color? And she said, I just know what people have told me so I can feel color. But the truth is, she does a beautiful job with color. And I know she has, it's just like a black and white TV. She has no vision of color whatsoever. And so, but she just, this last month, she just had her cataract surgery that I get next month, but she just had her cataract surgery, and it completely, they put the new lenses in her eyes, and now she can see it'll be another month before she can really see. One eye's perfect, the other eye's very, very blurry still, but she can see very well. And you know, she's gonna really have almost like a 20/20 vision, but she still won't have any color. But she, you know, it's such a blessing for her even to have vision, because endless throughout her whole life, she's been unable to see more than 20 feet away from her. I mean, if she wanted to cross the street, she would have to have a person walk her across the street. It was that bad. And if she wants to, she's the only person I know who could ride she had a tricycle that she would ride to go to the market. And she's the only person I know who would ride her tricycle into the back of a police car, crashing into it because she couldn't see the police car.
Wow.
You know, it was that sad, but it was sort of like, I've taken her on airplane trips everywhere, and I'd have to hold her hand to get across the street, to get into the plane, to get anywhere. She has to be taken by the hand. And, you know, Bill has done a wonderful job taking good care of her all this time, but it is constant, you know, care that you have to be aware of this other person's inability for vision. Now she can actually see. And this is, you know, going to change her life completely, which is just unbelievable, you know, which is really amazing. And so, and last week, we have a Zoom meeting every week. And last week, she gave me a tour of her house, and it's all built on one level now because of Bill not, you know, so it's wheelchair accessible to make it more easy for Bill. And it just is beautiful. She just had it all rebuilt, and it's all very flat, very nice, all at Avatar's abode. In the regular house, only it's all out, you know, with a brand new fancy pants bathroom and everything else. You know, that's wheelchair accessible, and just, it is beautiful, just plain beautiful. And it has some fantastic outdoor, you know, screen patios and everything all around it. And so it's really fun. And, you know, it's the ultimate house at Marabode. Really nice. So that's what and the tour was, any Baba lover would have loved the tour. It was wonderful. And of course her paintings are everywhere in the house, and they look great all over the place, and it's really fun. So but she is doing very well, and fortunately so is Bill. Bill really had a nice pull out of, he was going down, and now he's surfaced back up, you know, at almost 97. And you never know how much you can pull up, but it's exactly, he's doing a great job, and I'm very pleased with it. And Diana gets a lot of help from the community there on all the different things to do with Bill, and keeping him happy and keeping him, you know, well fed and happy in all the directions. And so it's doing very well. Yeah.
So this is Martha again, and I just want to say about the murals. I've spent a fair amount of time at Marabad and with Diana's murals, and that's why I asked you about her being, whether she was colorblind or not, because I think they're just incredibly amazing. And
Yeah,
I can't believe, I mean, I do believe you, but it's amazing to me.
Oh,
that
blows my mind too. No, it completely blows my mind, because I know for a fact it's exactly the same as black and white TV. And for her to see color is like, you know,
it's amazing.
There's absolutely no medical way that she can see color.
Right.
And so this is all in her own imagination of how she says she feels color. Yeah.
I call it intuition.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is, an intuition that you know, but it really is amazing. I just, it's beyond me. I mean, and it was so incredible, because I have pictures when she was a child with blue horses and brown background skies. just the opposite of what they should be. And everything that she'd love painting horses, and it would be endless horse pictures but done completely in the opposite. And they're very well done, but it was just all the colors would all be opposite of what you think they would be, but perfectly, the shading and everything is just right, so it's really incredible, and it shows you that she had no sense of color at all, and she'd always have to wear these red glasses that would allow her to even get vision because her eyes were so bad. Yeah.
Incredible.
It really is. It's remarkable to all of the family members, that Diana, but she is truly a great artist. I mean, if it's sculpture or whatever she does, she's fabulous in it. But the thing is, it's sort of like the handicaps against her are also incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I think, but giving up was not part of the plan, she just always loves it. Yeah. Always
Thanks so
amazing.
much, Charlie.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for having everything on Rano. I just, like I say, I hope I apologize if I talk too much about me, but it's all things that I remember about Rano is all of this information and things, all the different story parts are all connected to Rano and Monty. Yeah. And Mara. But I was trying to keep it on Rano as best I could. Yeah.
You did a really good job, and I would like you not to apologize for talking about yourself, because you're an amazing artist as well.
Well, just by fault. Oh, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, Charlie.
Much.
Oh,
Okay.
Charlie?
Yeah.
I think Betty was indirectly trying to ask you, is there an email address or some way if we wanted to contact you to
Sure, no problem. It's on the site, yeah, and so it's BIGGY.
Yeah.
That was my nickname as a child, Biggie, and last name was Morton, MORTON, at gmail.com. And I'd happy to give a talk anytime about about the experience of so many different things, but I need a lot of. One of the things I told Monty when I started the painting, I said, Monty, one thing I'm going to request is that you don't hold me to a timeline, because of the fact is I have no idea if I can even produce something that's good enough, let alone how long it's going to take. And so I told that to Monty, and Monty said, oh, okay, fine. And Monty always said that I must have been a lawyer in my past lifetime, because 20 years later was when the window was finally done. And, and it's sort of one of those funny things that so on all these things, I have lots of different things to say, but I'd like a lot of preparation time if I'm doing something. Yeah.
Well, and we could just leave it up to you to decide what to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
So
That'd be fine. Happily.
You know what I mean? All right.
Just the story of the painting is well, for one, that's just amazing, and a long saga, obviously.
We have a pretty good documentation today because this is recorded, of course.
Yeah. Well, a bigger part to it is the Mara Baba bus. Yeah, which is the Mara bus. Yeah. That's even wilder. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that's a complete story unto itself. Yeah. That's what
Baba goes on, Baba goes on. Yes.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay. Bye-bye. Jai Baba.
Bye-bye. Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Look at Charlie.
Jai Baba, Martha.
Oh, what he's talking about.
Thank you.
Wasn't that specially?
Oh my!
Designed by Baba for today. What an amazing thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yes. Shall we turn on
Eddie
the
and
recording
Lucy.
now? Yeah. Oh, that Baba bus is that he took a bus full of students from UW in the 70s. In the 70s, they took down to the Bay Area to see the I think it was Adi and Margie it was kind of a Baba tour, magical. My good friend Barbara Roberts was on that bus, and that's how she came to Baba. Oh, that's a whole story in
The
itself.
magical bus tour, huh?
Yes, it was. Yes.
And that was to the glass factory? To the
No,
glass studio?
no, this was to see. This was to see Adi and Mariji when they came. This was
Okay.
to see. It was a Baba tour for these young students in the 70s. It's how some people came to Baba. Jill Davis is another one. That is a whole story. Wow.
I saw Audie and Margie when they came in the 70s to Washington. I was there then.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that,
saw them
yeah,
in the Bay
that
Area.
you say that. That was amazing.
Well, Charlie mentioned it. I wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful time. Oh, he's so right. That's another story.
Another story.
Wow.